We start a statement of acknowledgement of traditional land. I wish to acknowledge this land in which we live, work, and stand for thousands of years. It has been the traditional land of the Huron, Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So with that, we hand over to Assistant about Maggie's to make a few comments.
Thanks, James. Welcome, everybody. I know that I wasn't here for the first CPLC meeting last September, the first one of the fall. And unfortunately, that was Superintendent Fenton's last one, so I missed the congratulations and that. But I shared what I was led to believe the understanding was that he was well received and congratulated. I do have an announcement. I know that there were some concerns about not knowing who his replacement was going to be. Command has made the decision, and we're lucky enough to be getting Superintendent William Needles, great guy, lots of experience, 40 some odd years, 42, I think, years on the job. Brings a lot of knowledge and experience to 43 Division. He's excited about coming here. Respectfully, he couldn't make it today, and likely he wouldn't, as professional courtesy, show up for CPLC until he's actually the unit commander in charge of 43. That will take place upon Superintendent Fenton's official retirement later this month. So we do have that to pass along. We do have a new superintendent slated to come here, which is good news. And with that, we can just get right into the agenda for today.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. So let's start off with our ground handlers. Locke, the grounds business.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Adam LeBlanc. I'm the ground analyst here at 42 Division. And as usual, I'm going to share those slides with you with what's been going on in the past month for the division. So first up, as always, this is our community map, which shows our representation of members of the community. This has been updated. There's a couple more members on that, which is great, because we always heard from everybody to come out, and if we know anybody who wants to be on the board to join, and we've had a couple of members, so the map is ever growing, which we appreciate very much. And then the other new map that we show all the time now, this is our community map. This is the way forward in Toronto Police Service. We're moving away from what we used to call zones, into neighborhoods. And then in those neighborhoods, we're having specific officers assigned to them so they can grow relationships within those neighborhoods. This map's been updated too, so we've recently had some staff turnover, and we have several new neighborhood officers. Some of them are in the meeting right now, and they'll introduce themselves.
Yeah, and if I can interrupt at that point, one of the things that we're going to try to do moving forward is have the neighborhood officers attend the CPLC meetings on a monthly basis, so you can get to know some of the faces of the officers that are assigned to the neighborhoods that we designated. So if the two officers that attended today can just stand up, just briefly introduce yourself and let us know what neighborhood you represent.
Hi, I'm Tom Biden. I'm part of the open neighborhood. So first, we've been on here 43 for 11 years, and I'm responsible for the second neighborhood, which is
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Again, they'll be around through the break as well. And moving forward, the neighborhood officers will attend the CPLC meeting so you can get to know each of them. There's a few, and we have some new faces, so just taking that opportunity to get to know the officers. Thanks, Ed.
All right, great. Let's do up some maps. All right, so first up, this is the map of the collisions that occurred in 42 Division in September. With always the different colored dots representing different accidents. And then as you see the key overlay, just to give you a better visual representation of where our main areas of concern are. A map like this is shown once a week at our Thursday crime management meetings, and our supervisors, the superintendent and superintendent use this to help lead the initiatives for the company.
Thanks, Adam. Again, this is a larger representation, I believe, of the month.
Yes, this is a lot.
Yeah, so you're seeing a lot of collisions on there. The weekly one kind of led us to believe that some enforcement initiative along Lawrence Avenue from Morningside to Grimley Road would be hopefully will affect a reduction in collisions and people being injured by being struck by vehicles. That seemed to be where there was a higher percentage this week. But as you can see, we also have a continuation up in the northwest part of the division, in and around the Scarborough Town Center. And we, on a weekly basis, prioritize and focus our enforcement efforts up there as well.
And then the next map here, again, it's a safety overlay, which is representing collisions, but now there's little black rocks. You see that's enforcement that's been done in the division. I'd like to display this to show how our target enforcement works and that we are going to places where we are targeting. Not just going with what people think of fishing holes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know that Superintendent Fenton speaks to this on a monthly basis. Being that our resources have been reduced, it's really important for us to focus on important efforts with intelligence-led policing. So the previous map that Adam up there showing us where the collisions are taking place, and then we track and document where we are conducting the enforcement. And you can see that it's in the same areas.
Excuse me, Scott, is there any way you can partner that?
I'm not a tech guy, so I will leave that with Adam and people to do the presentation, but we can try to make it a little better.
I'll refer to Paul.
And then the buck just keeps getting fast. Eventually it's going to be Red that's going to look after it. Eventually, look, no. Thank you, Aaron.
Then moving on to some crime maps. So first map up was break and enters. The dots are where the break and enters occurred. The different colors are just within the different zones, which I guess we'll have to change up pretty soon when we start going into the neighborhoods. But if you have been attending, you know that we've been struggling on the break and enters this year so far. But in September, we have started to slowly reduce our break and enters. And then moving on to robberies, and of course this is the ones that we keep harping on because we do so good this year. Again, you can see on that map for a division this size, almost no dots whatsoever. So we continue to have strong numbers of robberies this year, which is fantastic. And then the last crime map will show us theft of autos. This has creeped up a little bit this year, a little bit above what we're used to seeing. We'd like to warn people that not just theft of, but our theft from, which is another stat we keep, is creeping up a bit. What I mentioned last week about just locking your cars. We're getting a lot of thefts from people just leaving their cars unlocked recently. It's kind of our role in this day and age. Most people need to take their lock in their cars, but we're getting a lot of young people that stop going through neighborhoods late at night and just lifting up cardboard handles. When it's open, they help themselves to what's inside. So people just lock the doors up so then they And then this here is our major crime indicators. Like usually explain, this is seven statistics that have been approved or sent out by Statistics Canada, which they feel best reflect what's going on in the community. And these are our major crime indicators for 42 division. We are doing really good in this division this year. As you can see, we have like robberies down 42%. That's unbelievable. Assaults, which is always the highest stat in every division city. We're down 7%. That's a really strong number when you look at how high the actual numbers are. So break and enters, we're at 22 now. Last month we were closer to 30, so we are still starting to drive that down. And in total, we're down 5% on the year, which we look at the climate and the reduction in staffing. So these are really positive numbers.
Yeah, I'd just like to speak on that a little bit. Again, as Adam indicated, the reduction is a very positive movement. And I think it's important to note that we've driven these 7 major crime indicators down successfully in 5 to 6 years in succession. We kind of plateaued last year a little bit, but knowing that each year, the year prior, we've actually reduced most of these categories, it's just indicative of the hard work that the officers do out there on a daily basis. When you look at some of the breakdown that Adam's presented here, even with the sexual assault, when you see a 24% increase, I just want you to know and be comfortable that those are individual investigations. There's no patterns or things to raise any concerns for the community. If there were, you would be told. I think the reduction in assaults is amazing. And again, Adam spoke about the robberies. We take pride in it because upwards of 40 officers less working in this division than when it opened years ago. So the fact that we continue to drive down these numbers, just indicative of the hard work that they do out there on a daily basis.
Just another thing just to mention on some of the things like, say that you mentioned the column of sexual assaults and theft over, not to give a full out math lesson, but in the columns like that tradition, which are pretty low numbers, in math, if you're dealing with low numbers, the percentages come up high. So they look higher. For those numbers, it's kind of better to look at the difference in numbers, and you can see the difference isn't too drastic. Same thing even with like theft overs, minus 29, it looks amazing. It is good, but 52 to 37, It's not as big, the numbers, but where you see the biggest is the -7 assaults, we're dealing with the number over 1,000 there, so that's really.
Just one other thing comment on the sexual assaults, is sometimes when people look at that and they think of rape with a sexual assault, a lot of our sexual assaults, I have to guess it is 50% of them, 70% of them, they're familial sexual assaults. Sometimes people have a domestic relationship, they come forward, that is sexual assault. So by no means I want you to look at that, those stats and those numbers, thinking that those are stranger on stranger, because that's not the case. There's all different grades of sexual assault. So just to keep that in mind when you look at it, because I know when people do look at that figure, sometimes it's a bit startling, but not saying that it makes it any better, but familial or domestic, but it's not something walking home with any impact.
Thanks.
Just one last slide here, which is usually my little kind of tip of the month. And this is the distraction that we've talked about this previous times here before, but this is starting to pop its head up, not just in 43 Division, but throughout Scarborough and just in your region north of Scarborough. We've been experiencing increases in this in the style of getting cars with 2 or 3 people. We drive around the quiet residential neighborhoods looking for a new person doing gardening or outside in front of the house. They approach them, one person starts asking questions, either about directions or something, tries to distract them. When they get an answer, they'll thank them by hugging them, and when they hug them, the other party or even the person hugging them will exchange the jewelry. They'll offer a gift sometimes, let me give you this necklace, and while they're putting on the fake gold necklace, they're taking off your gold necklace, or same thing with rings. So we've had a couple of these reported in 42 Division. 41 and 42 Division. I've also had a couple reported, and reports are popping up just north of Steel Zero. So there's a group of people, unfortunately, doing this to Scarborough right now. So we just want people to be aware that this has started going on.
Thanks.
And that's it for me.
Excellent. Thanks. So next up is our community safety team. Paul.
Thank you for that, right? Yeah. We were gonna do distraction thoughts. I'm kidding. Just say a quick hello, thank you for coming, and okay, thanks.
So I know that Paul and Julie they had a presentation and they had said that maybe it would be best to do that when the new unit commanders here next month. So we'll have presentations at that time. I can fill a little bit of the time that they would have ordinarily. I wanted to introduce a new member to the community safety team. Sergeant Rhonda Thomas is at the back of the room here. Rhonda's taking over one of the neighborhood officer teams, including the officers that are here with us today. So you'll be seeing her face a little bit more as well at the CPLC meetings and out there in the community. Welcome over, Rhonda.
So with that, I think this is where we open it up really to everyone in the community. If there are any activities, concerns, any questions that community members have, please feel free to step up, just take mic and ask questions.
So before we do that, I'll just jump in. I try to provide feedback to the previous CPLC meeting and any concerns that were raised. I wasn't here for the last one, but in reviewing of the notes, I know that the superintendent had spoken to, I guess, an investigation regarding a stolen golf cart from Durham that Reg, you were questioning, I guess? Yes? And given information at that time. And then there was some concern about a Jump City robbery that I think Detective Sergeant Ward, we don't have a lot more to give you on that. The investigation is continuing. Our hold up squad is looking after it. I don't think arrests have been made.
Arrests have not been made.
So that's the follow-up to concerns that were raised in the September meeting. And as James said, this is where we ordinarily open up the floor to anybody from the community. If you have any concerns, questions, comments, now would be the time to do so.
Success within your LCBO theft. James has asked about that. LCBO theft. So
I'll just speak to that.
yeah, James has asked about that before.
Is it good?
I have a question. With the legalization of marijuana, pardon me? Quiet, big mouth.
Yeah.
With the legalization of marijuana, how are the police going to handle these people that are out on the road driving impaired? Is there a test for that other than alcohol? I know there's, in Sweden they have it, I don't know about here. How are the police going to handle it?
There's kind of a two-pronged answer to that. The first thing that I'll say is we have arrested people for impaired by drug offenses in the past. The volume of it likely is going to increase considerably, and that's based on the behaviors that they display, not necessarily just on the presence of THC in their system. It's based on the way they were driving, how they respond to questions from the officers' observations. That has happened. It's my understanding that the actual testing device has not been finalized yet, so I don't want to give misinformation to you. So ask that again next month, and I'll have a more defined answer for you.
Steph, I could probably speak to that a little bit. The Scarborough Mayor contacted me last week to submit an article about that very same question. So he's doing a little bit of research on it, and the staff's 100% right. There is not an approved device from Health Canada yet to do that test. I did find some statistics from Mad Canada that when somebody dies in a motor vehicle accident, it's obviously easier to get samples to do proper testing, and the samples of those fatalities indicate that much more people die in road deaths as a result of drug impairment than alcohol impairment. So it is something that I think the government is definitely aware of, and they recognize it being a concern. It's just a matter of the technology catching up. And the courts then recognizing that that is fail-safe, because obviously if you were the person charged with such an offense, you want to make sure that that equipment is 100% tested and without fault.
I guess the argument would be, with the government now saying that people can smoke marijuana where everybody else smokes regular cigarettes, a person could argue that when they're in their car, they say, I always smoke in my car, so I'm going to smoke marijuana. They sit there and they smoke, and who knows how many, what do they call them, joints? I wonder how many joints they smoke, and then they sit there and say, oh, I'm going to go to the supermarket. Now, how does that balance out with the courts?
Well, I think Steph Flanders is very much correct. And just because marijuana is legalized next week doesn't mean that everyone has been waiting to smoke a joint until next Tuesday. Like, this has very much been happening up until now, and there are lots of instances where officers do late charges based on somebody's ability to operate a motor vehicle is impaired. So that doesn't mean we're going in sort of a device. That's all the other stuff that we as the police have to give evidence on, stating why we believe that your ability is impaired to operate a car. So all that still exists, and all that has been tried and tested in court. It's just the medical device, if you will, or the scientific device that we're catching up on.
With the no smoking bylaws that they have now, there's no enforcement on it. Even though when you go to bigger buildings,
You're right.
it says you smoke within 30 feet or 9 meters, whatever. Now that they're going to be able to legally smoke marijuana, and those people that don't abide by the laws that are there, they're going to be standing by the doorways. I mean, it just smells pathetic. I can't stand it. I get sick of it.
How'd you vote last time? Who'd you vote for last election?
Yeah, we share your frustration. The frustrations you're raising, we've expressed, and ultimately, when consulted, raised those exact same concerns, but it was passed. And a lot of this, admittedly, is going to be a wait and see sort of enforcement. I wish I could tell you otherwise, but that's the hard truth.
When you try to find out, they tell you there's not enough enforcement. So what are we supposed to do about it, they say?
We share your frustration. No, and again, I hope I'm not coming across as condescending or anything like that. We truly, as a service, we share your frustration. Ultimately, it was legalized, and we're going to have to see as it unfolds where we're going to step into enforcement. I think it's not a simple answer, and that's why it seems like we're kind of giving you multiple pieces of information. We have laid charges of impaired by driving under the influence of marijuana, typically, and they're all individual investigations that can be conducted in different ways. But that arrest, that charge might be followed up with a search warrant for a sample of that particular person's blood to be analyzed, right? We're looking to circumvent that and streamline it through an electronic device. But as it stands right now, we do not have that device in place to be deployed. That's the straightforward answer.
As far as selling illegal drugs to other individuals, are they gonna be able to sell it legally now, or you have to have a license to sell it?
I'm not sure I understand the question. It's still illegal for drugs.
Yeah.
That you're asking.
You know,
An individual to sell it is still illegal.
I suppose no, look at it as alcohol, it would still be illegal for you to make some sort of alcohol in your basement and then sell it to your
Right.
neighbor. It's the same thing.
I'll check with you next.
And hopefully I'll have a few more answers.
But I think just closing that out, and we would typically, as it's been already, the enforcement is going to be through bylaw and licensing and all those sorts of things. We may assist them, but just as has happened up till now with those dispensaries, that wasn't the Toronto Police Service taking the lead on most of that. Municipal licensing and standards.
And that's where I share your frustration is we are going to expect the city licensing standards officers to conduct their enforcement, do their inspections. But I get the sense that you're not impressed with the way they do it with just general smoking. So you anticipate they're going to be extremely successful in doing it for the marijuana use? I don't know. I guess only the future will tell us that. You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yeah. Okay.
So at the last meeting, you made mention of the issue that was happening with shoppers, with your service stuff. Do you have any update on that?
Sure. So we just so that everyone has the background here, we actually had a member come in and mention she has a service dog and she was having difficulty in accessing Shoppers Drug Marts and other drugstores in our division. And so one initiative that we're running right now is we are working with the police officers and preparing a letter and going out to each drugstore in our division and other establishments, along with that member and a few of the youth officers, and basically just educating them on the laws. You know, a lot of these, from at least a few conversations that we've had, it's not that they have a problem with following the law, they're just unaware. So this is more as a CPLC initiative. We're going out, we're going to talk to them, keep them informed of what the laws are. And that way, you know, just that member and others with service animals shouldn't face that issue going forward. So it is an initiative that we're running through October and some part of November. So
Dave, just to, so everybody's aware, there's legislation currently before Parliament. I'm well aware of this piece of legislation. Most people are directly involved in it, but the service animal, we all we know there's different kinds of service animals. Currently, by legislative authority, the only recognized service animal is a dog guide for somebody who's visually impaired. So any other service animal can be refused legally entry into any facility. It's not advisable. It's not an accommodating thing, or is it a wise thing for a business owner to do. But right now, by law, the only designated service animal is a dog guide. The legislation is currently before Parliament right now, and that's the provincial Parliament, and it will be passed. It's already succeeded in its first initial reading, is to declare dogs like PST dog, TSD dogs, other service animals to be declared under that same entrance and occupancy requirements by law. It's now a municipal licensing standards type situation, and the police are there to keep these only. But there are fines that are available, etc. The only one we can technically enforce by the police department right now is a dog guide. That is changing, and it should be, as from what I understand, this month that should change. So that's the legislation.
One thing we don't want to get caught up on, we do want to distinguish is between service and support. Right. So service dogs, service animals, not support animals. So if anyone watches the news, someone brought a support squirrel on a plane this week and shut an entire flight down. There's been a support peacock. It's been months.
Lizards, there's been all sorts of state cases in Ontario, lizard, little things like this. The iguana got brought into a place and there's a technically support. And I'm not here to discuss the legitimacy of any of those animals. I don't know. But the bottom line comes down to is the law is what we have to operate under. It is being changed.
They bring comfort to people, but they're not service animals, they're support animals. Okay, so just, we want to be careful with our wording because they'll check their wording as well.
Huddle up with a lizard. I have to say, I really appreciate, James actually this week is proposed a letter that will be part of this, going out to different businesses and communities and letting them know, making them aware of the service dog regulations and that. Like James said, in an information sharing session, this is exactly the sort of initiative that we're looking for from the police service. Is for the CPLC to recognize something that maybe that the community could. I think they're watching through the window. This is exactly the sort of initiative that we're looking for from the CPLC, is something they recognize might be needed or addressed in the community, and they take it upon themselves. You all take it upon yourselves to get involved. Sure, we'll look over the letter and draft it up, and Julie and Paul and I talked about maybe potentially auxiliaries, Claire's here, maybe Yippee students participating as well. But this is something absolutely that the CPLC members themselves can do, and the community benefits from it. That's exactly what we're looking for. So much appreciated.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from anyone? If not, then one other item. I know in our last meeting, we had spoken about doing holding one of these sessions off-site. So the last time we did it was in April, and this was in, again, feedback from residents and business owners in our division who said timing-wise, the afternoon meeting sometimes doesn't work. So in April, we held the meeting in the evening at the community center. We had discussed potentially having our November meeting off-site. I think we've gotten some feedback from people, given the new superintendent joining as well in November, we may do that in the new year itself. So if any questions on that, please let me know after the meeting. But just wanted to close the loop on that conversation because it was raised last week. And if nothing else, then that wraps up our meeting. Thank you everyone for joining.